Busy Talks fans, and welcome to our first edition of Chalk Talk Wednesday. I'm your host, Tom Peak, and today we're going to be covering my list of the top 10 must-dos for any website. Whether you own a restaurant and you have a restaurant website, or you're an e-commerce store and sell products online, or you're just a service website, there's certain things that needs to happen on your website so you're searchable and relevant to your customers. And that is more or less the list I've comprised here of certain things that need to follow through, and you need to make sure that they're existent on your website or you're doing. First on our list is content site control. Let's say you are a doggy treat seller and you sell dog treats online and you ship these dog treats anywhere in the US. And someone built that website for you, and you have no content control. You can't control anything on your website except upload products, and they build a backend for you, so on and so forth. That is what I call a third-party controller, where a third party controls everything for you for your website. There's two ways to go about it. You can build a website from a third-party company, and they can do the content control. You can just give them the content. You don't have to worry about it. It does cost some money sometimes. It does fairly get expensive. And there's other resources as well for content and site control, such as Joomla, WordPress, Magento. There's many different third-party applications where you can build a website and find people out there that won't charge you an arm and a leg to build your website, and then have that backend control. Joomla is a very good backend software. It has a lot of features built into it, a lot of applications that you can plug in and make everything workable. It's one of my favorites, to be honest with you. WordPress is just as well. WordPress is mostly used for blogs, but you can also use it for websites as well. So there's different drawbacks to everything, and it's by preference only. So if you're looking to venture off from having a third party hosting your content and doing all the uploads, and anytime you want to make a change, let's say you have a Valentine's Day banner. I'm saying Valentine's Day because it's coming up. And you want to make that change on the banner, they're gonna come and charge you for making that change, whether you make the banner or not. So having content and site control is fairly important to me. I want to have my own control over my website. I want to be able to log in and make changes as I please. And I'm more of a tech savvy guy where I can go in and make those changes, but some of us out there are non-tech savvy people. You just own the business and you know how to operate the business. You know nothing about the website. So this is a nice area to do some research on, to find out what you can do to have site control over your website. Freelancer.com is a really good site. There's some people out there that would build sites for you for fairly cheap and do your site control and won't charge you an arm and a leg, versus some of the companies out there that do charge you arm and a leg. Second topic that we want to cover is site speed. Site speed for me is fairly important. This is the speed of how fast your web page loads on a server, and there's many different aspects and ratios that we need to cover for site speed. Let's say you bought your domain from GoDaddy, and GoDaddy puts it on a shared hosting server. That's a server that they have where they don't charge you an arm and a leg, and they put it on their own server with multiple other people, and your site speed's pretty slow. So if you have a home page that loads at 2 megabytes, your site speed's gonna start becoming very slow. So you need to kind of watch out how fast your site speed is. A really good tool that I use to kind of verify how fast or how slow my site is tools.pingdom.com. That's tools.pingdom.com. You just type in your URL, and it tells you how fast your site is, and it'll tell you how fast each page is loading, how much information is on each page, if it's being cached or not. I mean, there's a lot of different things that tools.pingdom does. So you can kind of vary to see how fast or how slow it is, and it varies on national average too. It'll give you like a statistic to tell you exactly how you're comparing to other people that have tested on that site, to see how fast their website is. So it's a really cool tool to have. So coming back to the whole concept of site speed, there is dedicated servers that you can kind of purchase and manage on your own. which is a little bit harder if you don't know too much about it, which will make your site much faster to even load certain things. So if you're using third-party applications such as Joomla or Magento or even WordPress sometimes, and you have a lot of content that you're loading up there with videos, pictures, and so on and so forth, a lot of different applications happening, you probably want to go from a shared hosting to a dedicated host. A dedicated host can be either a cloud. A dedicated host can be either a cloud-based host, or it can be an actual server that you purchase and do it. I would do a little bit more research on that to find out exactly what are the parameters and how you can manage dedicated servers. Just Google search and you'll find it. The third topic that I want to cover is page relevancy. This is so important. You'll be surprised how many times you visit a website and you think the website is about one thing and it comes out to be totally different. And this happens in search a lot too. You want to make sure that you stay relevant to what you are doing. So if your site is about rooftop building, do not include a picture of your puppy on your site. I mean, it's just not a good idea. So you want to make sure that you're relevant to either what you're selling, what your service is, or what your restaurant is. And relevancy plays along really well with some of these other concepts such as visuals and shareable content. There are certain things that you want to be relevant on a page. So an About Us page, you want to make sure that you include a little bio about yourself. You want to make sure you have some contact information or what your company does and what you're involved with. And a Contact Us page, obviously, you want to include a little Contact Us information, whether it's via email, phone number, or a little form that they can fill out on your website. So page relevancy is very, very important on the site. I mean, you don't want to stray away from being relevant to what your page is about or what your website's about. The fourth thing that I want to cover is blogs. Now, blogs have become so popular nowadays with a lot of people taking on their own initiative to write about how they feel, their experiences, what they're doing. It's almost becoming a social concept of having a blog, and there's many great blog sites out there. And it is very, very, very important to have a blog on your site. I cannot tell you how important it is. One main important reason is because you build content for your site. And right now, content is important. You want people to understand what your site's about. You want people to understand what your business is about. And by sharing certain blog posts, whether it is a recipe, and if you're a restaurant, you want to put up a recipe blog, and you want to include a weekly recipe or a monthly recipe, that's a really good idea. If you're an e-commerce store, you want to do giveaways, you do a blog about giveaways, or talk about a certain product and say, oh, I like this product because XYZ. That is what a blog is about. It loads your site with a lot of content, and inevitably, it's a full circle. It comes back, and your site becomes robust. And there's a lot of things on your site. So when you do search engine optimization, marketing, or pay-per-click, there's a lot of shareable and viewable content on there. The fifth most important thing, or not most important thing, but fifth on my list here, is social and share options. You want to make sure that you include your social signals if you're on Facebook, if you have a Twitter account, if you have a YouTube channel. You want to make sure you include those icons on there. You'd be surprised how many times I've seen websites that do have Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and it's not even on their site. So make sure you include a little, tweet button right here. Sorry, my Twitter bird is a very, very horrible drawing. And put that icon on your site and make sure that that's visible to people and they can click on there and see what you're doing on Twitter. Now, obviously, you must be engaged on Twitter and on Facebook. You can't just leave it alone for months and months and not do anything, and people are going to think, what's going on here? But, if you are engaged, make sure that social signals are on there. Now, shareable options, these are little options at the bottom of, context. On your blog, for example, there's like little share buttons where they can share your options. And also, you can put a shareable option for website pages. So if you have a content on, let's say, a website page, and let's say your website page is derived this way, you have your header here, blah, 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 your navigation bar, and then you have your page of contents, and then your blocks of advertising or advertising here or whatever you may have. This page over here, which is full of content or items or certain things, they need to be shareable. There's certain softwares that you can get or plugins to make that option shareable. So a lot of things on your site are shareable because the more you share, the more people will see. So it derives traffic from that. Sixth on my list is sitemaps. It is very important if you are doing SEO work, and I'm sure if you are doing SEO work, you know this as much as I do. You need to make sure you have a sitemap. A sitemap is basically a broken down XML format of all your pages on your site and how they're interlinked. These sitemaps, when you submit them to Google or say Webmaster Tools for Bing, the spiders go and crawl these sitemaps. So you're basically giving them a gateway and a roadmap to what your site's about. And if you don't know how to do a sitemap, there's a really great website that I've used in the past and a lot of people use. It is xml-sitemaps.com. That is xml-sitemaps.com. You just go in there, put in your URL of your website, and it kind of derives a little list for you, and you can upload that to any a Webmaster server or Webmaster Tools sites and start getting indexed for some of your pages if you're doing SEO. And also just to be relevant and stay up the track with being on the internet. There's so many sites that don't do this. They just have a website and they just share that with their customer base, but they don't market it to the world. So if you are in the marketing aspect of it, if you are in the realm of marketing, you must have a sitemap. Seventh on my list is visuals. Us as humans, we're very visually driven. We want to be able to see something and say, oh, I want that. I love how that looks. Especially with food. When you go to a restaurant and someone prepares a nice dinner plate for you, you go, oh, that looks so good. And for some reason, it just tastes better than ever before. So visually, your storefront is your website. What you're selling or your services is your website. If you're a photographer, put some beautiful pictures on your site and make some nice banners and dedicate some time and effort into making sure the visual aspect of your site is up to par. Now, if you don't know if you're doing anything correctly, there's so many different forums you can go to. You can Google search, visuals on sites or visual on my website. Am I doing a good job? There's many different things that you can do to make sure that your visuals are correct. Even I will be more than happy to take a look at your site and tell you what you're doing wrong if you want to email me. I'm more than happy to say, hey, you need to change this, you need to change that. So take advantage of that and give me a shout out and I will take care of that for you. So visuals are important. They do comprise of majority of if a person wants to stay on your site. Remember the 8-second rule. If a person visits your site within 8 seconds, they don't understand what your site's about or they don't comprehend what it is, then they're gone. They're out and you lost a visitor. So visuals do play in fact into the role of making sure that visitor stays on your page. That's very important. 8 on my list is citations. Citations is basically name, phone number, address, fax number if you have it, email address if you have it. These are blocks of information that you would have on your site. What I like to do personally when I'm working with sites, I like to put the citations on every single page of the website in the bottom of the footer. The footer is the bottom section of your website here. Usually there's information like rows of information of text on certain links and pages on your site, and then it has maybe a map of where you're located, and it'll have shareable content in your information. Your citation usually goes here or it can go here. It doesn't really matter where it goes. But you want to make sure that you include the citation in the footer. And I say footer is because a site-wide footer that you have here is pretty much on every page. So if you include it in your footer, you've kind of knocked out, however many pages you have with one stone of that being on your home page. Now, it depends if you're running Flash on your site. So sometimes if you're running Flash and that footer area is built in Flash, it might not show up on every page of your site. So you want to make sure that that footer is showing up on every page. Or if you don't want to put it in the footer and you want to include it at the top nav bar right here, then make sure that it's on the top nav bar. It's important to keep it on every page. This reason, and the reason only that I say this to keep it on every page, is when a person shares your information and it goes on, let's say, Facebook, and they say, oh my God, you know, I love Tommy's Burgers, and Tommy's Burgers has this awesome 3-pound burger that they've done. And they've put a picture of that 3-pound burger right on their homepage. And I want to share this on my Facebook because I'm a burger lover. And my friends know that I'm a burger lover. They put that on that website and they share it. Now, when they share it, they have that contact information that is shared with that link. And it's, you know, like wildfire. And when it spreads out and people start sharing that, your contact information gets indexed on every shareable page. And every shareable page ranks you higher in Google and search engine optimization. So you want to make sure that your citations are built. And to have this work for you, there's an awesome site that I've used. It is a pay site. It's called yext.com. That's yext.com. And Yext is a great site. It goes out there and searches all the local databases and local sites that do local directories and local searches, and basically fix all your listing if you're not listed in there, such as Yahoo Local, Yelp, Foursquare, Super Pages, Yellow Pages. I mean, there's a whole list, about 50 or 60 of them. And Yext does that all for you, and even does kind of like an updated kind of version where you can even do an offering. Let's say you want to do free pie Wednesdays, for example, instead of Chalk Talk Wednesdays, and you want to offer a piece of pie to your customers if you're a restaurant. You want to post that special on Yext, and anybody searching in any of those local directories will see that you offer a free pie on Wednesdays, and they come. It does cost to do Yext. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's anywhere from $400 to $500 per year, but it is a problem solver nonetheless, because for you to go in to each one of these sites and update the information correctly is a hassle. So you want to check, if you've never done this before, you actually want to check your citations on yext.com to see if they're all correct on all those pages, because you might have a page that has an old building owner's information on there, or the company before you that was in that location. So, I mean, this is more local and driven based company, and, you know, if you're more of a service company and you don't have a website, or you don't have an actual physical location, you kind of want to see how you play off into finding a physical location you can work off, so you can get listed and so you can be found on the web. My 9th item on my list is the human effect. And the human effect is something that I've kind of put together. There's a lot of times where I see websites that are just very robotic. You kind of know that what you're going to expect out of that website the minute you land on the page. You want to make sure that you're coming off to be human. You want to make sure that the other person that's searching your website and seeing your website knows that the other person on the other end of that website is human just like them. So there's certain things you have to do to make, you know, human contact, whether it's replying to your tweets or replying to your emails, or posting specials on your site, or changing stuff all the time. You want to make sure you have a human effect on your website. If you don't have a human effect, start doing a human effect, because it is very important to make sure that if your customer lands on your site every time, whether it's once a week or once a month, that they're going to get something different, from a blog post to a tweet, anything. Now, the last thing on my list that I like to talk about, and it's one of my favorite, is shareable content. For me, shareable content is something or someone that makes something very shareable on the internet. And it's fairly hard to do this. There's so many different things you can do to share content. A blog post, for example, for your shareable content is the first thing you can do. That's shareable, because once you write a blog, people can email that blog to their friends, post it on their Facebook and say, hey, look at this cool blog I found about how to make floaties for birds, for example. A blog is a great shareable content, but there's other ways to do it too. There's other things you can do. One of my favorite is widgets. Widgets are interactive kind of games. You can say games, but not really games, but interactions between you and your customer. There's many things you can do to interact with your customers. You want to engage the customer to stay on your site for as long as possible. You want them to revisit that site and keep coming back, keep coming back. So you must provide them with something fun and shareable. For PR firms or for sites that do marketing or are involved in marketing, white papers are a very good example of widgets and shareable contents. There's usually like a box on the right side of a page that says, hey, fill out your information here, and we'll send you a free copy of how to become a master of Twitter, for example. Some of these marketing companies do that, I've come across. But I mean, you can get creative and do a white paper for your own site. If you are, for example, a pool cleaning service, and you're a pool cleaning service, and you wanna create something fun and interesting for your customers. You want to pool kind of relates to summer, so you want to make a top 10 must-do summer list and include maybe like a video in there and make it into a white paper or a blog post. See, that's a cool shareable content. So you want to make sure that you create something that's shareable on your site. Don't be boring. That is my number one thing. I mean, if you create something boring, no one's going to want to share it. So sit back, relax, and write something enjoyable for people to read, or make something enjoyable for people to read. Thank you again for visiting Chalk Talk Wednesdays. Sayonara.